Welcome back to Completing Football Manager 2024. My name is Anders, and welcome to the series where we are trying to complete every single playable league on FM24. Right, we are in Romania for league number 18. If you've not been on this journey before, please go through the rest of the videos here on the channel, subscribe, like this one. Follow the whole journey as we've gone through the first 17 nations. Obviously, this is nation number 18, and we're about to join Rapid Bucharest. So, you can see here we have been offered the role. It's the 25th of November 2059. Not long, really, since we left Finland, so we're going to accept the deal and become the new manager. When did we actually leave Finland? Because it was not very long ago at all. If we quickly, whilst we've got chance, I'm pressing a lot of buttons. I'm in a hotel room, if you can't tell, so I've not got my usual setup, so things may take a little bit longer than they have done in the past. So we are literally a month and 6 days since we left HJK, but we are now the manager of FC Rapid Bucharest in Romania. The first time I think I've ever managed in Romania on a football manager game. We'll skip through all of these scenes and go to have a quick look at the overview of the squad. No, we do not want to see a press conference. We're probably going to go with our standard tactics, so I'm just going to drop that in now. The last few leagues, we've kind of been using the Balatown tactic Lonod, which is Lakesiders in Welsh, if you are not familiar, but you will be if you've been following along with the series. But yes, the first time I've managed in Romania ever, I think, in any iteration of the game. So let's see what it's like. Looking at the squad registration rules at the bottom, a minimum of 6 players who have been trained in Romania over the 3 years before their 21st birthday, and looking at the homegrown national, there's lots of them, which is fine. And then a minimum of a 1 under 21 year Romanian player in the starting 11. So there always needs to be a youngster in that starting 11. So they need to be 21 or under at the beginning of the year, so, at the beginning of the season. So there we go. We've probably got someone in here who is under 21 who we can slot in, but we will try and work on that as we go through. We've been falling foul of registration rules in the past in different leagues, but looking like we are more than capable of ticking that 6 players trained in Romania box. Right, looking at the best sort of players in the squad, and what I always normally do is just rank them by the star rating. It gives us a reasonably good overview. So we've got this guy, Zilard Balan, Romanian, 23-year-old, come through the ranks at the club. He looks like a very good attacking midfielder. Got some decent agility, vision, work rate. Is only 8. First touch of 16, flair of 17. Quite a flair filled player. And then this guy here, who is a striker, can also play on the right wing, Matai Costea, 25-year-old again. This guy again came through the ranks of the club, has nearly played 200 league games for Rapid Bucharest. Finishing of 12 doesn't really matter, but this could be improved upon. And then looks like we've got plenty of good defenders actually. So Hossam Fati, Chungwa, Arsenica, Bozo. So, oh, is he leaving? Is Bozo leaving us? Okay, Bozo is joining New York Red Bulls in January, so that's a shame. But other than that, we've looked like we've got plenty of good defenders as a spine of the team as well. A good midfielder, a couple of good striking options, another midfielder here. Okay, we've got the remnants of a decent squad. I mean, looking at the league table, which says 13th, is not particularly good, but 13th out of 16, and it's quite yeah. We probably, so I think. From my little bit of research of how the Superliga works in Romania, is the top 6 after 30 games go into the Championship group and play each other again twice, so you get 40 games in total, whereas the bottom 10, I think, so 7th downwards, go into the relegation group and play each other once of 39 games. Top of the relegation go into the European Places playoff with a couple of teams from the Championship group or whatever, and the winner of the Championship group gets the league title. And I think, from memory, that the teams start out with half points from the league table. So we go into the Championship group. Yeah, so the teams start with 50% of their points from the main league stage, so it kind of just shrinks all gaps down and makes everything hyper-competitive again towards the end of the season. But there's the Champions group, has 10 games. Relegation group has 9. This is last season's table, obviously, and the main league has 30. Rapid didn't do very well last season, finished 14th. FCSB won the league, as you probably would come to expect. Looking at past winners as well, they have won Okay, all bar 2 of the ones since the league got switched on. And again, we're doing that thing where we're switching leagues on halfway through the save, so some of the early results are potentially a little bit ropey. But Rapid haven't won the league since the 2032 season. So it's nearly 30 years, so plenty of catching up to do on that front. So, right, we are a month after leaving Finland. We're into Romania. We're going to try. We're halfway through the season, so we're pretty much, this is the halfway point check-in, I guess. So we played, was it 17 games we played? So we'll be doing a check-in in 3 games' time anyway, so there's no point doing another check-in until we get to the end of the season. But we'll try. I mean, it's unlikely looking at the league table. We've got to try and get into 6th. I mean, it's 7 points. It's not insurmountable, but there are a lot of teams in there. If it was 7 points and 2 teams, I could probably do that, but it's 7 points and 7 teams to try and overcome. That's going to be quite difficult. 13 games to do it in is not too bad, but we'll get an idea of how the team looks and play through this last half of the season. Hopefully get into the Champions Group, probably not, but if we do stay in the relegation group, maybe try and push for that European qualification place. But we shall see, and obviously we'll be back at the end of the season to give a bit of a recap of how things have gone for the first sort of 6, 7, 8 months in Romania as we get to the end of the first season. Okay, end of the season, and it's gone pretty well actually. Looking at the squad, I very much thought this side is underperforming, but we turned things kind of around. Had a little bit of a rocky start, so we started here at the end of November with a draw, winning the cup, but we didn't actually progress through the cup. The cup's a bit weird. We'll cover that at some point as well. Lost off at our second league game, and then didn't actually win a game until the middle of January when we came back from the mid-season break. And then kind of after a little bit of a stumble here, a couple of tough games. FCSB obviously was a really tough one. But we finished the season with 3 victories. Obviously, it ended up in the relegation group, and we went unbeaten in that relegation group all the way through. A couple of draws to begin with, then a couple of victories, and then victories towards the end. Big ones against Dynamo Bucharest. Obviously, they're a big side, and then FCSB were also in the relegation group. We won that one 3-0 with a great hat-trick from Catalin Petri, who has been pretty good this season. He's not our striker, he's one of our midfielders, plays on the right flank. But you can see here, we absolutely cracked this one with a great victory. Header at the back post to open the scoring just before half-time. There's flares going off in the stands, which is not something you get in England. This is very nice to be playing in Romania. I'm enjoying it so far. Petri got his second with a lovely cutback to the middle of the area, slotted home there. We had a goal, I think a couple of goals disallowed in this game as well, but Petri managed to round out his hat-trick with this great little weaving little cut-round run, slotted past the goalkeeper. We absolutely teared FCSB a new one at home, 3-0 victory to finish off the season. That gave us the relegation group victory, not a title, but we won the league there. Obviously, if we go back all the way to the league table, we finished the league in 10th on 39 points. So we started the relegation group on 24, I think it rounds down. But anyway, we did that, and then we went unbeaten in the relegation group. FCSB ended up finishing 5th. Dynamo Bucharest very nearly got relegated as well. They had to go through the playoff, but they survived. It was few big hitters in this relegation group. The championship group saw a few surprising. I mean, I'm not massively familiar with Romanian football, but possibly a few teams I wouldn't be expecting in there. Well, I kind of only really know Cluj, to be honest, and Arad as well. They won the league. I'm not sure basically whether that's a surprise or not. Anyway, we got through to the European places playoff. We beat Shelenbar, who were in the relegation group in the semi-final. Went through to the final to face Farul. Beat them 2-0 with a couple of goals, one really early on, and then Petri getting a late one to make it 2-0. Real comfortable game, though. We could have quite easily got a few more and really put the game to bed. But we started off 90 seconds into the game. Kultsar, who I believe is a new signing, who we'll cover in a second, passed to Sar Rui, who again, I'm pretty sure I signed him as well. It's been a while since the mid-season break, but we'll cover transfers as well in a second. Giorgio is a young player through the ranks, and there's Petri as well to finish. He's got 4 goals now in this video. Excellent. But we won that 2-0. Qualified for the Conference League as well, which is great. We've won the Conference League before with Debrecen in Hungary. So we're going to be hopefully challenging for the Conference League, or getting to the knockout rounds at least. Anyway, right, transfer-wise, we'll cover the ones we've done since joining. So we joined in November. So everything, basically, these three here are the new signings. Balash Kulkshar came from Sepsi, so it's another Romanian club. He provides some great depth in the defensive midfield positions, basically challenging Christian Horvath as our best defensive midfielder, kind of pairing in the defensive midfield. That was for 70k. 275k for Abdurrahmani Sarui, Algerian, 23-year-old. He comes from Setif in Nigeria. He's pretty much our best attacking midfielder now. He's slotting into there. We have got, whilst we're on this page actually looking at attacking midfielders, Alexandru Gita, 15-year-old, scored on his league debut, youngest ever player, youngest ever goal scorer, at barely 15 and a half. He was born in December, it's now June, made his debut in May, I think, maybe April, but scored in his debut. He has got some potential. He's a very promising young player, but he's got personality of fickle, which is very annoying. He's not got the best of personalities, but he's already got a national reputation. He's going to be in the national side soon, I'm pretty sure. He's very good, but we shall see how he develops. He's going to be one to watch next season. And then the final transfer was more striker depth, which we'll cover why in a second, but Nicolas Gonzalez came in, Argentinian striker. Not quite as good as I would have hoped, but he was a freebie. But he came in to give some backup to Darius Lazar, who wasn't the striker we mentioned in the first part of this video. So, if we go to the transfers out, right, Balan, who you will remember, hopefully, it was only a couple of minutes ago, in the video at least, it was a day or so ago, actual real world, but he was one of our best players. He's gone. He's gone to Damak, and it's very unfortunate. He's now worth 20-odd million, which is annoying. But he went for 4.5, which will potentially rise to 5.5 million. Our other best player was Mate Kostia, who has gone to league champions UTA Arad for 4 million, which is annoying, but minimum fee release clause, and he wants to go. So that's basically ruined our best two players. And then Shabalks Papai, Hungarian, has gone to Domzali for 1.5 million, or 1.6 million. So we got a bit of money in, but lost a few good players, which is annoying, which is why we brought Gonzalez in at the end of the window. And speaking of people we're bringing in, we're spending 300k, which will potentially rise to 1 million for Vasil Vasilev, who's a young goalkeeper. Possibly overspent on him a little bit, but I wanted to sort of build up the ranks of the goalkeeper. So Ndiaye is possibly leaving. Race is old, and he's 33 now. So needed to get some young goalkeeping in. Gabi Cardos, he looks like he's going to be really, really good. He's got some good heading, good marking, good tackling. Everything looks pretty solid. Again, obviously for this level, but he's coming in 2 weeks' time. 500k is not a bad amount whatsoever. And we've also got Juan Martin Zucchini leaving us. He's for about 500k as well. He's a left winger. Not quite as good as Adrian Faizuli, who is our best left winger. But he's going, the other two are coming, and we've won the relegation group and got European football. So, speaking of goals, well, we weren't speaking of goals at all, but Darius Lazar has got 13 goals, top goal scorer, just pipping out, what's his name, who left us. But Petri, who's got 4 in this video, that was half of his goals for this season, is also up there. Best average rating is not him, because he was on loan. New signing, Saru, he has been a little bit injured, but also come off the bench quite a lot to come back from his injury and got 3 goals. Got a high rating. He will be more as we get into the next season as well to be up there and being one of our best players. There's Faizuli, who I was mentioning as well. He's probably been our best, most consistent player. Anyway, right, the season doesn't take long before it starts again. We're at the end of June and we've just finished, and it starts again in July. So it's not a long turnaround. So we'll be back in a few seconds, basically, after doing bits of pre-season. I did want to mention the cup, actually. The part of the cup that we join is the group stage, where you're in 4 groups of 6, but you don't play the other teams in your group, you just play 3 random games, and it's a bit... So we didn't lose a game in the cup, but we didn't finish in the top 2 of our group, so we didn't go through. Bit weird, not really sure on the system, but it goes into a knockout round, final 8. There's a first stage as well for non-league teams. It's a bit weird. Anyway, that's what the cup's like. We'll be back in 6 weeks when the season starts again here in Romania. Okay, we're back after about 5 in-game weeks, which is ridiculous, maybe 6. But we're ready for the new season again. It's literally 31st of May, new season starts on the 10th of July. That's ridiculous. It's literally 6 weeks. Anyway, this is the season preview. We are predicted to finish 9th, which is odd because, well, I mean, 9th/5th, everyone's about the same. It's very strange, I mean, because last season FCSB and Dynamo were below us, and we were not like 3 of the best teams in the nation finishing the relegation group last season. So I think it's going to be quite up and down, swingy performances. Obviously, we've got Conference League football as well, but that's by the by. It'll just happen as we go through it. Speaking, well, no, again, I say speaking. We weren't speaking of transfers, but I'm going to look at transfers anyway. I've already mentioned, I believe, Kardas and Vasilev, who we were bringing in at the sort of crossover point of the season. We made some more signings as well. 1.6 million for this right back, Mirza Mehmet. Danish right back, 28 years of age. He's going to definitely improve our defence. He looks pretty handy and in his prime, a fairly determined personality as well for that fullback. And we've got some freebies to try and fill out the depth a little bit. Valentin Mania, defensive midfielder, Romanian. So again, I'm trying to tick that homegrown box. He's come in from Dynamo on a free. I think they basically let him go. He's going to add some great depth to our midfield. Kamil Travert, you might remember from when we were in Slovakia. So he's just come on a free from Slovan Bratislava. We signed him from Zurich back a few seasons ago, obviously when we were in Slovakia, before Finland. If you're trying to watch videos in order, just watch the playlist. Anyway, he's joining us to provide some more depth in defence. He's kind of not our best defender. That's Kardas, who comes in, and Arsenica, who was already here, is possibly better than him as well. But for a 32-year-old who can't head the ball or jump, well, he can jump. He's 6'4". He just can't head the ball. I'm not sure what that's all about. Anyway, he's going to add some depth to our defence. And then we've also brought in another goalkeeper. So Cyprian Siobataru comes on a free from Sepsi OSK. So he's going to be, even though I've signed him as a backup, comparing him against Sydney Race to say that Race is now he's nearly 5 years older than him. I think he's going to be our first choice goalkeeper probably going forward this season. And Daye's not gone yet, our second goalkeeper. But don't worry about that. We're going to get rid of him. Some guys have gone out on loan. We've already mentioned Zucchini going for 500k. Gal has gone to Honved for not much money at all, but he's gone. And then Khalid Ouali, 1.2 million Nigerian defensive midfielder. He was not getting any game time, so he's gone to Lorient in France. Cashed in. I'm not sure why they've spent $1 million on him. He wasn't good enough for us. Probably not going to be good enough for you. But we have got some more transfers in flight. So Ndaye is potentially off to Arad. Kanchev is going to go on loan. Chungwa is also potentially off to Arad for 3 million. They're spending some money. Vanderson Finelli is coming in to replace him. So Chungwa got a minimum fee release clause, I believe. Vanderson Finelli is better than him. Brazilian left back. He looks pretty handy. Again, we're going to have some really good fullbacks now as well to go with the central defenders. So I'm looking forward to him joining us. And then a couple more guys going out on loan, which we don't need to worry about. But that's kind of setting the scene for the season. We've barely done anything because it's 6 weeks since the end of the season. Sarui is currently linked as our best player, but that won't last because we've got some good players joining us in a couple of days, hopefully. The schedule looks like this. We've got Dnipro in the Conference League second qualifying round. Start the season away at FCSB, which will be interesting because obviously they had a poor season last season. We beat them 3-0 in the final relegation group game, so we'll see if we can carry that over into the new season. I mean, it was literally 6-7 weeks ago, so we'll see how we get on. Right, we're going to play the first half of the season, and we'll be back. Wow, so what a difference 13 months makes. It's literally been just over a year since we took over in 13th place, and now at the halfway point we are top and 4 points with a game in hand ahead of FCSB. Well, I mean, where do we begin? So the season started out with a defeat to the aforementioned FCSB. Then we got a couple of good victories to finish out the first month of the season, being the other Steaua Bucharest, because there's 2 of them now. Long story. We qualified for the league phase of the Conference League, beat Dnipro in both, well, drew the first leg, won away, beat Bodo Glimt, doing 2 draws and have to beat them on penalties. Bit of a tough route through. Beat Ashdod and then got into the league phase where we faced former club Ballymena and we absolutely smashed them 4-0. Lazar getting a goal in the first minute. Lazar. how we pronounce it. Obviously, no one in the Ballymena squad is still there from when I was there, because that was a long time ago now. But just poor defending. Lazar capitalising on a sloppy back pass to slot home inside 50 seconds. And then half an hour gone, we got the second of the game. Horvath, ball over the top, lovely. Bring down Petri to score the second, double the lead. Beginning of the second half, Utica got a penalty and scored that one, so converted from the penalty spot. And then a corner in the last few minutes was not dealt with, pumped back into the box. And Moldovan, who is actually Romanian, scored to make it 4. He's one of our new signings as well. We'll cover him as well in a second. So yeah, the Conference League going quite well. Beat Ballymena, beat Salzburg as well, drew then with Nefki and Sparta Prague, and then victories against Antwerp before a draw in the final fixture. Put us 7th in the table, so we are through straight to the round of 16. Cluj managed to get 16th, so they will go into the knockout round, as did former club Debrecen, who are there. Any other former clubs of mine in Shelbourne? Obviously, we've got quite far in the Conference League with them before, won it with Debrecen, and there was obviously Ballymena as well, obviously, because we've already faced them. So quite a few of my former clubs in the Conference League. But then in the league, we got that victory back against FCSB in the home return fixture. Went on a crazy, incredible run, if you look here. So we lost to Hermannstadt in August, and then basically were undefeated for so many games, before we ended up losing 5-1 away from home against Chindia, who this guy, their striker, has scored so many goals. So for 13 league goals this season, which is just ridiculous in 15 games. But despite that 5-1 loss, we bounced back with a victory against FCSB, and then won the rest drew that game there, but a 4-0 victory over Hermannstadt to end the first half of the season. 4 points clear, game in hand, comfortable at the top. Obviously, we're going to finish in the top 6, and then everything gets slashed in half, which is a little bit annoying, but there you go. There's Giteski with 13 goals, top goal scorer in the league. But yeah, everything gets slashed in half in 10 games' time, which is a little bit annoying. So whatever lead we built up will basically evaporate, but we'll get there eventually. Let's have a look at any further transfers we made. Obviously, we hadn't quite finished the signing of Van der Sade Finelli, who has come in for just under 2 million. He has been pretty darn good. 28-year-old left back is what I'm trying to say. Then there's Marius Moldovan, but basically the club, some of the players came and complained that we didn't have enough depth on the left wing, so we signed Moldovan and then spent far too much money on Mikael Gallen for 2.5 million. Very much regretting it, and they were still annoyed. This didn't even fulfil their we need more depth. So we signed 2 good players, not quite as good as the actual best player in the squad, near enough, Adrian Fazula, and everyone was still annoyed, so it was a waste of money. Moldovan's proved worthwhile getting on a free. He's obviously Romanian as well, so that always helps. I think we mentioned Chungwa was about to go for 2.9 million. Dai also went to Arad for 350k, and then a few more loans leaving towards the end of the window was kind of all that was done. Diakbe is off to Genoa for not much money because he was unhappy, so we're getting rid of him. And that's basically the first half of the season. In terms of goals, Lazar has got 19 so far in all competitions, already more than last season. Best average rating comes in the form of Fezula, who we've already touched on, as our star left winger. I'm not sure if he's listed as yes, he is listed as our key player now. And obviously there's Gita, who we mentioned previously as well. He's got a few goals, 3 goals in the Conference League from 1 start and 3 sub appearances. But there we go. We are doing pretty well in the league, into the knockouts of the Conference League, into the quarterfinals of the strange Romanian Cup. So everything's going quite well. We could be done in 1.5 seasons in Romania, which I didn't think was going to be the case after where we started out last season. Obviously mentioning before, I think we mentioned basically FCSB, Dynamo, Hermannstad. They were all in the relegation group last season, along with ourselves. And now, top 4. So it just shows you that Romania is a little bit of a level playing field across most of the clubs. I mean, the other Steaua Bucharest have just been recently promoted. They're 11th. They're doing quite well. Arad, who won the league, they're 6th. They're not doing that well. They're 14 points behind us. They're reigning champions. They've spent a lot of money as well. I mean, a ridiculous amount of money. They've spent 20 million. Like, they've given us 3, but they spent 13 million on Jose Carlos Pradas, who's 32 as well. That is a lot of money. Comes from Milan, formerly of Atletico. I mean, he's good. There's a lot of money. They've just splashed a lot of cash, and it's not worked out for them. But it has worked out for us, as we are top of the league quite comfortably. As I say, through to the Conference League round of 16, Romanian Cup quarterfinals. We could, in theory, get a treble, which would be a little bit of a throw up for the books, turn up for the books, whatever the phrase is. But right, we'll hopefully get this season finished before I leave my hotel room. Let's find out. On the surface, this may just look like a random game against Cluj, but it's actually the Conference League final, and we won it. The second Conference League triumph in this save game there. Horvath got the first goal, and then we intercepted here with Vanderson Finelli, ball inside to the youngster Gita, who set up Petri to get the second goal in the first half, and Cluj, who got relegated this season and made it to the Conference League final, lost, and we won. Well, it wasn't our first trophy of the season, but we've won a trophy. If we look, we also won a couple of others as well. So we've won the league and we've won the Romanian Cup. So if we go through to the Cup first, because you really care about that one, against the other Steaua Bucharest, the one that have just been promoted, we comfortably ran out of that one. 3-0 victors, winners, all in the second half as well. So Gita got the first goal. Cardos went on a bit of a mazy run through everyone. Lazar set up Gita, the youngster. Once again, I think he's 16 now. Got the opening goal just inside the second half. We followed that up 5 minutes later. Faizula being involved in this one with a lovely run through everyone. Great finish past the goalkeeper. I really love the flares in the stands. I'm going to miss those as we move on from Romania, because we are going to move on because we've won the league. Don't forget that. We'll show you the league table properly in a second. There's Faizula getting his second of the game. He's really been key to our great performances this season. So that was our second cup victory, and here's the league table. Comfortable in the end. 6 points over Chindia, who obviously the second part of the season you start with half points, which is really annoying because we would have had a great victory really in the end. Because the actual league table, if we go through properly and see the full screen one, the league table here, we ended up winning the first part of the league by 14 points, and we didn't even really go on much of a tear. We lost 4 games, drew 7. But everyone else just kept losing games and beating each other. Dynamo finished the regular season second with 8 losses. FCSB got 10 losses. Hermannstad got 9. Chindia got 12, even though they beat us 5-1 earlier in the season. And Ferrol were up there as well. It was very tight for that last couple of places. But nobody else wanted to win the league. We weren't great. We certainly weren't great in the championship playoff either. We lost 2 more games. Chindia beat us again. We lost to Ferrol as well. We drew 3 games. Both of the games for FCSB we drew. We drew with Hermannstad, but we won 5. So we won half of the 10 games in the Champions Group. Did enough to clinch the title by 6 points. Chindia with a great second place. Hermannstad, FCSB finishing in the Europa League places. Ferrol and Dynamo missing out. I think they'll get a second chance in the European playoff places, as Arges just pipped Steaua Bucharest by goal difference to get 7th place, up first in the relegation group. Last season's winners, Arad, finished 3rd in the relegation group. That just shows you the swing of performances in Romania. It's quite wild. I've not seen anything like it so far, and obviously this is nation number 18 that we're playing in. But it's great season in the end. Pretty turn up for the books kind of campaign. Wasn't expecting it in the slightest. We didn't make any transfers, by the way, in January. We made a few sales. Raji, who hasn't featured at all, went for 350k. Obviously, we mentioned Diakabi, who'd gone, and Kamal Trava as well went to Atlanta for potentially 200k. So he didn't really stay long. He couldn't make a real dent into the first team. Obviously, there's a lot of good plays in there with Cardas and Arsenica, who kind of stopped him from really featuring. So he went to America and left us. But we didn't make any more transfers. We did bring in a guy who is going to basically provide a bit more depth in the attacking midfielder role. Another Romanian on a free. kind of just for depth, kind of filling in sort of the third choice, potentially attacking midfielder, but I'm not going to be here. He was on free, but I'm gone. Done. Completely completed Romania. So who got the most? Well, goalkeeper, Kibatari. I said, I don't know, I think I said, I can't remember if it was halfway point of the season or the beginning of the season. I'm not sure if I covered it in other part of the video, but he was definitely going to be our first choice goalkeeper and made 57 appearances. Race made a few, 7 I think, and Vasilev got 1. So that kind of shows you how many games, a lot of games in Romania. I think we played 90 games in a season and a half, which is a lot. Best average rating, ignore Vasilev in his 1 game, was Lazar and Faizula, and then Gita. So he's really going to come into his... By the time he gets into his early 20s, he is going to be incredible. He's still with that fickle personality. They've not managed to change that in the season and a half since he graduated the youth academy, but he's really good. Lazar and Faizula doing really well as well, but they are attracting interest, so I'll be shocked if Rapid can keep them next season. Lazar got 36 goals across all competitions, which is incredible. Gita got 11 as well. At his tender age, he's definitely, I can't stress enough, he's definitely one for the future. He's well and truly established himself in the first team and will hopefully be leading this side for many years to come. But I certainly won't be leading this side for many years to come because we've completed Romania. 3 trophies in a season and a half. That's pretty impressive going. I wasn't expecting that. 90 games in, I was expecting another season, so another 60-odd games. But we've done it. We've won the Conference League again. That's second time in this save, winning the Conference League. We're just shy of 1,500 games in total. This is going to be a long save. But if we look at my manager profile now, 71. He is very old. Very, very old. But I'm not retiring. I keep saying that at the end of every video. I'm resigning. Resigning from my position of manager at Rapid. Obviously, we've won the Conference League for the second time. There's Debrecen, who won the Conference League there as well. So we are ticking that Conference League box. Obviously, we won the African Champions League way, way back when we were at Sundowns. I think that's that season. No, that season. We won the Champions League. So that's 2 continental trophies. Obviously, we've only got 2 nations left now in Europe, in this phase of Europe. So we've got Slovenia and Poland, who we'll be trying to go to in the next 2 videos, and then we're going to go to South America, unlocking the next tier of nations. But for now, unfortunately, I am now resigning immediately from the Rapid Bucharest job. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great 18 months. Unfortunately, not going to change my mind. We've got other nations to complete in this series. But if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe. And we will see you in the next instalment of completing Football Manager 2024, wherever we go, which, looking at the job centre, could be to Mura in Slovenia, but who knows. See you next time.